right, good day, friends. Steve Benoon here with Israeli News Live, and the title, as you can see on the video, Russia engaging with China. I'd also heard that as well from Steve, and I wanted to find out if there, what do we know as far as on this end here? And that information is true. Now, as far as the numbers, just like in the case with Maine, where the U.S. used a bunker buster and hit a facility that was housing Chinese troops, we don't know for sure the number of Chinese troops that were killed as far as from the sources that I have. But it is true that Russia is also having a bit of an issue with China. They have engaged one another. That's the furthest I know on that. And it seems to be kind of unusual because I know that China and Russia have participated recently in military drills along with one other nation. I forget which nation that was. I think it was Iran. They were participating in naval exercises together. But there's something to do in the far east of Russia, disputed territory, and I'm still waiting to get a little bit more information about that. Now, I do know I got some information sent to me as well about a blackout or something like that. That is something that was, I think, about 4 years ago, 2016, 2014, something like that, is when this NASA guy allegedly put this information out. And I don't think if people pay attention to what was being said on that, it doesn't mean that that's what's fixing to happen now. So I want to make sure people are kind of calmed down on these issues. We are looking, and it's kind of interesting because I'd already in the conversation that I had, briefing I was in, 2-hour briefing, in fact, yesterday, we were already discussing the issues from the sun, from the solar minimum. I know I've talked to Scott Sion about that, not recently, but me and Scott were talking about this, and Scott said more closer to 2024 is when we're going to have the major issues with the sun. But in the briefing I was in yesterday, we were talking about this, the solar minimum and the effects it is having on our ozone layer. But I was told that they still do not really know the full impact it's going to have. And we weren't looking at this as far as some kind of blackout or days of darkness. We were looking at this more so in light of the fact of the asteroids that come in that are hitting the Earth. From what I was told, in the last month, we've had 10 that have hit the Earth. But most of those are happening around the equator. And he said, if you look around, he said, where you can find a little bit of evidence on this, he said, because most of it's really kept out of the media, he said they're hitting the oceans and stuff. He said, therefore, it's very easy for, the government not to say anything or no one to actually see these things coming in. And thus far, everything has been small, not big. And I have been told, though, that it will slowly progress. More and more we'll deal with more of these asteroids as time goes on. But there again, our ozone layer burns up most of these when they come in as a meteorite to the Earth. Most of these rocks are burnt up. So unless it's something really, really big, we just don't, we're not going to hear much about it other than like the one that hit Syracuse, New York recently, where literally it shook the Earth when it came in. And as far as China, going back to China, as I mentioned in the broadcast yesterday, yes, the president did send our naval forces in the Atlantic Ocean there to confront the Chinese military who were coming across the Atlantic to come into our territorial waters. And the one source I have said had the president not reacted as fast as he did, China would have actually been in our territorial waters. And so other than that, I'm being told that most of the things that China is doing right now is to kind of push at us to see what our reaction time is. How are we going to respond? Are we going to respond? And of course, if Biden is president, the chances are we will not respond. In fact, I was told that Biden would actually have America to stand down. You have to understand, we're not just facing China. This is a major issue, and a lot of people are not bringing this out. China is backed by Israel. The Chabad Lubavitch organization in Israel is also backing China there. I was told by a good friend of mine, very strong connections with the intelligence community in Israel, leave China alone. They're going to be the next world's superpower, and Israel is working with them. So China's attack on our nation is going to be an attack on, as is said by people that I know, in the circles of the Orthodox community, it will be the war against Esau. If you remember, there's a very prominent Messianic minister who has said that Christianity will cease to exist soon. Well, they're talking about destroying this nation, talking about destroying because we represent or have represented Christianity as, the United States. But be wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, as the Bible says. There are gatekeepers who are protecting that little country just south of Lebanon, that are ministers, and you're going to hear some of those names before long when we have again former Rabbi Luis Perez on. He actually shared with us the very names of some of the most prominent evangelical leaders that are gatekeepers, that have already been trained, they've been paid off, they know what to do. They're going to lead their sheep right back underneath the rabbis. Pay attention to what's happening. Look at these nations that are making covenants with that little country south of Lebanon. All right? Pay attention to the covenants. And what's funny, they're being bought off as well. They're being bought off to make the covenant, or to make this coalition there. And of course, that little country south of Lebanon is also going to be the New World capital. It is going to be where they run everything. And I am more and more convinced now they are going to use a fallen angel as their Messiah figure. And when that Messiah figure comes forth, in fact, I talked to Brother Perez about that, seeing that he was involved as an Orthodox rabbi, and he concurs with that information. It is a supernatural type of event in their way of thinking. But we know that that's the Antichrist spirit. And we also know, too, that they are using this whole thing about this thing they're going to put in your arm, right? If you remember, I mentioned to you how that Chaim Eshed, the former space agency head of Israel, said that they have been working with these aliens, these extraterrestrials, fallen angels, okay, demons. They've been working with them, and what are they doing? They're working with them to do experiments on humans. Well, it was confirmed to me that, okay, didn't know specifically about this issue, but yes, they knew that this had been happening with these fallen beings there back in the 80s and the 90s. If you've ever been in the military, some of the vaccines you received had to do with an experiment that was being done. Homeless were being taken in the secret underground bases. They were doing experiments on them, not expected to survive. There's some really weird things going on. Another thing, too, I want to mention to you as well. I've been told they're going to use Bluetooth technology. They can actually, you could drink a drink that has that Bluetooth in it, like a macro particle, and never know that you did it. And this is one way they're going to be able to track you, determine whether or not you qualify. If you've had that little thing put in your arm there, whether or not you qualify or not to be able to purchase fuel at the pumps and things like that. I never knew that this technology would be used, or even that it could be made so small that you could ingest it and they could use that as a tracking device. So there's a lot of things I got to speak to you guys about, and I know I'm kind of throwing things out there right now, and I have to be careful the way we say things here, because as you know, YT very heavily censors everything that's said, and we could easily be shut down. Hence why we're using backup channels and we do things that we do. And I know you guys are struggling with that. In fact, by the way, if you're having trouble accessing things that are coming out through iConnect, I've been asked by the team at iConnect, what types of devices are you using, especially Apple products. They want to know year and model numbers of those products because they're trying to resolve all those issues for you guys and fix these problems so you don't have these issues. We have to use backup sources. And those of you that are following us on Patreon, there are going to be some more things coming out on Patreon that we're not going to release here, but we're still having to find the way to where you can see it, to where it's not compromising our other channels here on YT, because they're going to be shut down. When I post it, if I'm using my YT channel from Stephen Ben-Nun to post it, right now I'm having to keep it full public, but if I can't do it where it's a private link, then we have to actually put it on unlisted within 24 hours because it will be shut down. And it's a real issue. We're trying to overcome all these obstacles. And but anyway, please just be patient. We're doing everything we can. Our issue is to keep you informed on what's really going on in the world. And of course, the most important thing is that we're prayed up and we're really, our relationship with Jesus Christ is closer than ever. And oh, by the way, there's something. I'll give you a little tidbit of something. There's this new movie that just came out called Underwater, I think is the name, about a big oil platform out in the Atlantic Ocean that they have this thing go on. You ought to watch it. And the reason why I say you ought to watch it, that is based on a real event, 70% accurate. It wasn't in the Atlantic, it was actually in the Pacific. I've actually known about this for quite some time. Maybe I've shared that information with you guys before, but they did tap into another ocean floor, so to speak. And there are prehistoric creatures in that area. So anyway, I actually know that secondhand, but the source that I know that from, we're connected from our past in intelligence world, so very, very reliable. It's not like somebody I don't know. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you. By the way, Yana is going to be on more and more, and we're looking at, I know you guys, many of you know about our DLive broadcast, and I know they don't save the videos there, but she's looking at broadcasting on DLive for you guys to where you can catch some things going on there. And I think either tonight or tomorrow 1, she's going to be doing that again. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And listen, don't fear, don't panic, but be wise, be diligent, and prepare. And also, don't forget, think about an EMP shield as well. Anytime I'm looking at China, you know, and granted, you know, you get the discount by using the code INL50. They bless us with a little percentage of what you're spending on that, which helps the ministry as well, especially because times are very difficult for people right now, and I know not everybody is able to help support the work. So, but we appreciate those of you that do and they're able to, and we appreciate you even if you're not able to. But one thing I would encourage you, get that EMP shield, at least for your vehicle. I think that's the most important part for your vehicle. You know, if you got a generator, I know they make them for generators as well, but you know, a generator is not that expensive to replace if it goes out. Well, of course, if you have an EMP attack, I don't guess you're going to be replacing it at that point. So anyway, think about that. If God leads you in that direction, empshield.com, and the discount code is INL50. God bless you. Thank you for listening.